You have come here because you want to self-host the n8n either on your home lab at your home or cloud or VPS or wherever you are. So to self-host n8n, the process is sometimes challenging also. So there are two options which are available. One is that you can go with Docker installation. Another is that you can go with npm installation. I want to have full control, so I'll be using this for production environment where I'll be installing it on Ubuntu server. We will get started with npm. Then we will connect it to the Postgres database. We will then configure it for the load balancing and so on. All the commands that I'll be using in this particular tutorial, I have provided the link in the description. This is my website. Search for n8n self-hosting n8n on Ubuntu 24.04. So step-by-step guide is available here. We'll follow the same guide. So when you are having your server configured, so you can simply SSH into it. So I'll be using PowerShell, or you can use PuTTY or whatever. I have created the DNS also for this, which is tutorial.syncbricks.com. So we will be able to access our server over here. So I'll show you all of that, how you will start with the SSL certificate and all of that. I will not confuse you here. Right now, I have locally created the DNS record for this particular server, which is tutorial.syncbricks.com. And if I try to ping tutorial.syncbricks.com, it is pointing to a local IP address. So I can even SSH to my tutorial.syncbricks.com, and here I will just simply log in with the user ID and password. Now you can see we are logged in to the server here where we'll be hosting n8n. Where I'm using it on my home lab. In home lab, I created one server. Of course, you can use any cloud platform. Anywhere you have the VPS, you can use that, whether it is DigitalOcean, whether it is AWS, whether it is Azure, or any other platform that you are using. So you can get started there. So here I'm now logged in. And in order to, of course, get started, first of all, we need to make sure that we update the server. Sudo apt update and apt upgrade with Y extension so that it doesn't ask me again. So we'll be upgrading the packages here. So you can see here these packages will be upgraded. All right, so at this stage, it is good idea to always restart your server so that all the latest packages which are available will do sudo reboot, and it will reboot the server. Once it is rebooted, of course, we will be then installing the Node.js, and it will also install the npm. So what I recommend you to do is that the link I have provided on website also, it is dev.nodesource.com, and here you can download the latest Node.js. So this is the repository for the Node.js. You can see here current version is 20 LTS. So of course you need to go with the long time support. LTS release is important. So we will be copying this particular command here. Latest release it will take, and then it will install the Node.js. So we will again log into the server. We will simply paste this command, which is to get the Node.js from node source. So once you download, it is going to take time. Just wait for this to complete. Now the Node.js is installed. Node double dash version. So you will see here 20.18 is the version, and then we can see the npm version, npm dash double dash version. So npm is 10.8.2. In fact, npm has the latest version also available. So in order to install the new version of npm, we will do sudo npm, and it will be install -g, which is global install npm at 10.9.2. So let's see now if we check the npm double dash version. So you'll see here 10.9.2 is the latest version right now, which is installed, and you can also search online that which version is the latest version, but of course 10.9.2 is the latest version, right? So now we are ready to install n8n. So with Node Package Manager, we will be installing the Node.js based application. And in order to install, simply one command is required, which is sudo npm. It is install -g, the way we install the npm latest version, and it will be n8n. So here we are going to just wait. It is going to take a long time. It will, of course, download the package. It will install the package. Required packages will be automatically installed. So we will just press enter. Now it will do its job. Once it is completed, I will come back to you. It is just the information of some of the packages which are deprecated, in fact, and these are still being used in n8n. it's fine, and it has now successfully been installed. You can see here. So if I simply run this right now, n8n, so it will just start running it, and here you can see it has migrated the data. Right now it is using SQLite, and if I try to open this now with my IP address, of course, as I mentioned, tutorial.syncbricks.com, this is what is there on HTTP port colon 5678. So now I'm able to access this, but here it says that n8n server is configured to use a secure cookie. Of course, there are multiple ways to handle this. First is that you have to, of course, go with the SSL certificate. Once you get the SSL certificate, of course, you will be able to access it securely. But in case you want to disable the secure cookie to false, so we can do that also, and we have to mention that in the environment variables. So we need to configure the environment variables, and how we'll do that, we will first of all create the environment variable folder. So I will be opening this again here into the command prompt here. Let me stop this by pressing Ctrl C. So we'll be logging in again to the server, and this time I'm logging in with the IP address. And now I can show you the n8n folder. So if we go to cd, it is in the root folder .n8n. You can see here these are all the files which are available. Of course, SSH related information is there. So the log is there. Uh, database.sqlite is there. Its details are there. So this configuration has the encryption key, in fact, but .env is not available. So .env needs to be created. We'll do sudo nano.env. So we will be creating this file here. You will see here it says that the file is not created, so it will create a new file. So in new file we can, as it is mentioned that in the environment variables, this one has to be false. So in n8n documentation, the environment variables are defined here. For example, whether it is endpoint, whether it is execution, whether it is log, and so on. So all these environment variables are already defined. And if you see the environment variable for the security, you can see here for security, it is mentioned here n8n secure cookies. It's true by default, so we need to set it to false. So how we'll set it to false? We will just come back to the environment variable, and from here, if you see, this is n8n secure cookies to false. So I will be setting it to false. So it will be, in fact, n8n secure cookies is equal to false. So this is the environment variable that we have defined. Now, of course, if you go back again, you open the file, you will see here that this environment variable is defined here. Let me now export this environment variable so that this can be used now. So this will be the command that we'll be using. Now, this environment variable is exported, and we will now run n8n, and it should definitely work without the SSL certificate here. And if I try to open this again now, you will see here n8n is now locally installed and it is available. You can, of course, get started with it. You can just set up your user ID and password. So it is working on the local server right now. But of course, our concern is to use this for production setup, where we want to enable the environment variable again and we want to make sure that even if the server is restarted, it should automatically start. First of all, for this one, I'll be configuring the reverse proxy here. So even tutorial.syncbricks.com, of course, with port 5678, it is working. Of course, I want to configure this in the reverse proxy. In reverse proxy, I have already configured it as this particular one, so 10.11.12.118. But this DNS should be pointing in the pfSense, or in my local DNS, this should be pointing to this particular server. If you are using public DNS, so then in public DNS, you can create the SSL certificate also. So how you can create the SSL certificate? You can create the reverse uh, Nginx proxy manager directly into the server. In this server, you can create the Nginx proxy manager. And then what you are going to do, you are going to install the certbot and Python. And I have provided the details. The link is provided in the description. So one thing that you need to do is that, so let me start the server first. And once you start it, there are things that you will need to know. One is that once you start creating any webhook or any credentials, for example, Google, and most of the times you guys have asked that what will be the redirect URL. So you can see here redirect URL is right now localhost, but in case I change its name to DNS, so its DNS record should come here. Instead of localhost, it should be, of course, whatever I create. Suppose it's tutorial.syncprix.com. So this should come there. So in order to change that, how we will do it, we will be changing it through the environment variable. We are going to define the webhook. So here you can see external configure n8n webhook with reverse proxy. So this will be a webhook URL will be this one here. So I will be copying this and I will come back here to the environment variable. So I will be just going back here to the environment variable, and new line I'll be adding here, which will be copy this one, and I will come back here. Instead of export, I will just enter the webhook URL, and that will be tutorial.syncprix.com, tutorial.syncprix.com. So now if I again save it and export this configuration and then start n8n again, now it will be loading with the latest webhook. And if I try to now refresh this and try to create those credentials where the external URL has to be seen, so you can see here now it shows tutorial.syncprix.com, and this is how you have to change it. Now, of course, when you create the database, so SQLite is, of course, not secure and it is lightweight, but here when you're using for the production environment, I will highly recommend you to go with the Postgres. I have made a detailed tutorial on that, how you can do it. But now I stop this service. You can see here right now it is not running. So one method is that I create n8n as service, so it should automatically start. Another method is that I install the PM2. It is used to run the multiple Node.js applications, and the load balancing of that and all of that is taken care of. We will be going with the n8n as a service. Of course, there are many services which might be running in the systemd system, and if I just open that folder, let me open that folder first. So we'll be opening the services folder here where all the services are already running. So if I show you the list, right now n8n is not there. So you can see here n8n service is not there. So we are going to create this as a service. So we will be creating this by entering sudo nano etc systemd and n8n service. So this service is created, but what should be the content of this service? The details are provided in the blog post also. So what is happening here? Of course, we are going to create the service. Its description is n8n. So it's the purpose is it is an automatic service. And here what you have to do, you have to replace your username with whatever username is there in your server. So you will be using that. Then is the directory where the working directory of n8n, it is in home and my name, and then there is n8n and then the environment which we have provided. So of course you have to only replace the username here and make sure that these environment variables are defined and where it will be executing. So this is already created in USR bin n8n. So restart on failure, so it will automatically restart if it is failure. So restart second is 5 seconds. So what we are going to do, we are going to just exit this now. So service catalog, I will reload, and then I will simply start this n8n. Now you can see here service has started, and if I see the status of this, let me check the status. All right, so service is running right now. So I can now simply go back again here to the server. You can see here service is running here, and even if I see tutorial.syncprix.com, the service is running great, everything is okay. I can even now reboot this server to make sure that the service will automatically start. So sudo reboot. So now I don't need to type n8n because it will automatically start the moment server is started. So we'll just see it here. So server is starting now. So here you go, server is started. So let me log in back. It was so quick. And here, if I do sudo systemctl service, status n8n, and here you can see service is disabled right now, so we need to enable this service so that it starts automatically. So enable, and now we will see that it is enabled, but we will start this, we will reboot this, and it will automatically start again. Let us check that again to make sure that it starts automatically. So we will check this now. Systemctl status n8n, enter the password. There you go. Service is now running. We can in fact configure the SSL certificate also, but I'm using nginx reverse proxy on my home lab. I have provided the details also of that, how we can configure that. I will be just changing the local DNS. So I will be adding for this, for tutorial, I'll be changing the IP address instead of 18 to my nginx reverse proxy, because in nginx, I have already mentioned tutorial.syncbase.com has this particular IP address with this particular port, and it is having the SSL certificate also configured. So I will be providing this IP address of reverse proxy for my domain name, and then I will be able to access it using the public DNS now. So privately it is installed on my local LAN, but now publicly I'll be able to access it. You can see here that right now SSL certificate is configured, and it is on reverse proxy here, nginx reverse proxy. My local DNS is having the SSL certificate, but I'll be able to access it globally. So let me now log in here. n8n is now locally installed in production environment, configured with the SSL certificate. We try to just show you chat trigger and chat. All right, it works fine. Also the credentials, and if you try to create any webhook or any external credentials, for example, if it is Google Authenticator, you will see here that the URL is tutorial.syncbricks.com, and we updated the webhook URL. That's why we are able to see this now. And now, in case you want to change the database from SQLite to Postgres, I have provided the link in the description. In this tutorial, I have explained you how to do the self-hosting of your n8n on cloud or on your virtual private server, on your home lab, in your local system, and so on. So we have not used Docker in this tutorial. You can simply run the Docker image by having the Docker compose. So hope you like this video. Let's continue to the next video.